How we doing, guys? Thanks for tuning in. It's another Sunday Night Live session. I'm the editor-in-chief of Mopar Connection magazine, but you're not here to watch this. I'm also the editor-in-chief of the Watercraft Journal. I just had a moment. I had myself a Biden moment. Where am I? What am I doing? I don't know where I'm at. All right. So, anyway, sorry about that. Yes, I'm Kevin Shaw. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Watercraft Journal. You're here to talk about jet skis, not old muscle cars. So, anyway, sorry about that. We had an interesting week this week. Had some stuff come up that unfortunately was really outside of our control on that one. So we're going to talk about that in a second. But I just want to talk about a little bit of news. I always try to cover news and stuff that's going on with the magazine at watercraftjournal.com. That's the main magazine. That's our bread and butter. That's the actual publication. This stuff is kind of icing on the cake. You're just eating icing here. The actual cake is over at watercraftjournal.com. Anyway, in case you haven't seen it, we did a couple things. The remaining, I think we have like 24 left of our Bimini blue long sleeve jerseys. We're down to our last 22 of them. We kind of want to clear them out before we introduce the new colors. And we're getting really close to clearing them out. And if you haven't gotten yours yet, the sizes are getting a little thin. I think we're at small, medium, large, and then double X. In fact, I'm going to double check that right now. I want to make sure I can pull up our inventory right now. But small, medium, large, and double X. That is all that's remaining. So if you guys have not gotten yours yet, and you do wear a small, medium, large, or double X, or you want your wife or girlfriend or kid to wear one, we also cut 10% off of them. So everyone's getting 10% off. And so that was Snoochie Boochies. Hell, that is great. Hello, Snoochie Boochies. All right. So yeah, we cut 10% off, and we just want to get the last of our inventory out because we have the new red one. We have the new, what we're going to do is that we have a design for it's kind of a darker green. It's not a Kawasaki green. We didn't want to get in trouble, but we have a red, a dark blue, and a darker green. And we're going to put those up for everyone to vote on. And I will make a graphic, or our team will make a graphic and put it on the actual community page. But you're going to have to go to the article and make a comment and vote. Because we want to get the votes in for what our next color is going to be. So, but that doesn't start until like Wednesday. So we're doing that. So the blue jerseys are 10% off. You want to cross that off my list. And then the voting begins on Wednesday on the 3 colors. So I'm going down the list, guys. And the other bit of news that I wanted to talk about was we're pretty excited about very cool. We're pretty excited that we're already really charging in towards 20,000 subscribers. And I know we were kind of rallying everyone last week to get up to 19,000. We're already way past that. We're almost at like 19,200. So I really kind of want to throw some gas on the fire for 20,000. And the way we're doing that is right now we've got over $600 worth of prizes that have been that we've got guys ponying up for. Not only okay, so the big initial prize the big initial prize was going to be a Slippery Life Vest. Was the Slippery Array Life Vest, which is $100 life vest, and they have it in like 3 colors, and they were going to let you pick obviously the size and the color that you wanted, which was pretty cool. And then we were going to give away like a 1 or 2 jerseys and a couple shirts. Got a bunch of stickers we are going to give away with all the stuff that we give out. In addition to that, Slippery was going to give away a bunch of those floating keychains. And then the other thing is we just talked to the guys at Strapino, and Strapino are the dudes who make those really neat stainless steel ratcheting straps that we did an installation on our aluminum trailer, and we got a bunch of people asking about those. They're hard mounted to your trailer, so you just mount them to your trailer, and then you just hit the release button, you pull out the slack, you clip it on, you hit the same button again, and it tensions it up, not tight, and you give it 1 or 2 pulls on the ratchet, and it's super tight. Strapino is going to be ponying up $100 worth of their kit, so you get a double. You're getting a pair of those straps, and along with like the bracketry and stuff. So that's pretty cool. That was new. That was something we wanted to announce today. I'm also reaching out to a lot of the OEs, and I'm reaching out to the guys at Riva and seeing if they'll pony up some stuff as well. So what we're going to be doing is that we're actually going to be giving away 3. There, I put my hand up. 3 $100 prizes, and then the other next 7 we're going to be giving away smaller stuff, so like stickers and a keychain float and those sorts of things. But we wanted to make it so basically there's 3 grand prizes, 3 big prizes, and so that's something that we're pretty excited about. That's when we hit 20,000. Now we hit 19,000 just a little bit. We hit 19,000 like a half an hour after the end of last Sunday's podcast. And so we randomly picked someone and went to their YouTube account, and we reached out and contacted them. And I'll tell you what, there are people who do not have email. You can't contact a YouTube account if there's no email attached to it. So it's really hard for us to give away free stuff when there's no way for me to contact you. So the guy who won, he had a YouTube account. He had like a handful of videos, and we commented on a couple of them, and then also gave him like, here's the email address, email to contact us, and we've sent 2 reminders. So that is how you win. Is you got to have some contact information on your YouTube, because there's no way I can contact you. There's no way that any of us can contact you. And you have a YouTube account. Well, Brian, you didn't win then, because you weren't the person we picked. Sorry. So we already reached out to the person that was selected, and we're waiting to hear back. If I don't hear back from them this week, I'll pick someone from the actual community here who actually comes in and comments every Sunday. So that is a little bit of a consolation. We're trying to make it, we're trying to make it fair. We're giving the guy 2 weeks to respond. We've sent multiple reminders. So if he doesn't ever check his YouTube account, I don't know what to tell you. So anyway, they're not cheap. You're going to pay for the best, and they're almost all the same size. Sorry, Cliff. Slippery is one of the best brands. They're almost all the same price. So now I do have a little bit of a story to share as we get into the main content. So we've already talked about the jerseys. We've talked about the voting for the new colors, and we've talked about the 20,000 subscriber giveaway. So let's get into what was going to happen this week. Was for the last little less than a month, I thought, all right, what the heck? I'm going to try to do the 440-mile ride on the Cumberland River. Because Shane's asking why only one color for the New Jersey. We're only going to have one color at a time. So that is because the people that we partner with, they don't want $4,000 worth of inventory sitting on their shelf. So we're gonna do this one at a time and clear them out. And we're not a big retailer. We're not going to pony up that kind of cash just to have stuff sit on the shelf. Sorry, that's how expensive that stuff is. We have really premium shirts. They're really premium content or a premium product, and it's not cheap. So that's what's a good online retailer. You got whoever's got stuff in stock right now. I mean, you go to Slippery's website and they have a list of retailers. I know Riva sells them. I know that SPT or Watercraft Superstore used to sell theirs. Parts Unlimited sells theirs. Guy, there's a handful. You just got to do some digging. There was a super chat. Let me look up a super chat. Chris asks another question. Okay, Chris, we got Chris Stone writes, I keep forgetting to ask, is it safe to spray an engine and engine bay when it's still hot? By the way, I have choppy service, so may have to tune in later as the video is stuttering. Oh, sorry to hear that. Let it cool. You can wait. If you're coating stuff down, I mean, if it's warm to the touch, it's okay. But if it burns your hands, it can wait. But I would wait before putting it on hot. In fact, most of those I'm blanking. Wow, a total brain fart. Most of those penetrating oils and most of those protectants specifically say don't put it on hot. So you don't have to ask me. You can just look at the instructions on the can. So yeah, wait till it's at the very most warm to the touch. All right. Well, obviously, yeah, wash down and then spray. But okay. Okay, so what was going to happen this week, and we had been talking about it for a few weeks, was I was gonna go out and ride and do the 440 miles on the Cumberland River. And that is a route that I've done before by myself. I did it on a STX 160 LX and did it fine. And I did it with our fuel auxiliary kit that I put the link up at the top. And the best things that we could suggest was come prepared with extra fuel, come prepared with foul weather riding gear, come prepared with food because we're not stopping at any restaurants. Food and drink, have a little cooler or whatever on you, maybe a backpack or something to that effect. And basically, we're not stopping, we're not slowing down. We're just going to keep it pinned at 60 miles an hour. Hopefully, you can keep up. That was really the idea. And we, to my surprise, besides me, had 6 other people who wanted to go. I was like, wow, there's going to be 7 of us? I really was not expecting more than 3 or 4 people. I really wasn't, especially not giving very much notice. And then the rains hit, and it started raining really, really hard. And it became bad news. Tennessee got hit really hard. And I was like, well, okay, it's not so bad. Maybe we can still ride it out. And then Friday was looking good. It was just going to be cold. And Thursday was kind of 50-50. And then by Tuesday was like, okay, we're going to do this. Wednesday morning, I wake up and there's all sorts of alerts all over Tennessee. And then I go and I check TVA, and TVA is the Tennessee Valley Authority. They are over all of the hydroelectric power. They're over all the, I mean, besides obviously Army Corps of Engineers, they're over basically all the waterways in Tennessee. And they put an alert up that they were closing down launch ramps. I said, "Oh no!" So I drove over to the launch ramp that we were going to, and it was, not only was it closed, it was padlocked and chained. And I was like, okay. And I went down to the launch ramp just on foot. Water level was at minimum 10 feet higher than it normally is, and it was nothing but a debris field. It honestly looked like a complete and total flood, and total nightmare. The water current was going about 20 miles an hour. I mean, at least that's what I had heard, was like a peak area of 20 miles an hour. And, it would mellow out and go to like 10 miles an hour a little further down the river. But where we put in was just tumultuous. And I was like, oh no, this is bad. And I got my phone out and I started taking video. And as I take video, you see a full-size tree just go past. And I was like, all right, well, that's over with. So I immediately put it up on Instagram. I immediately put it up on Facebook. And then I went to the YouTube community page, and I went to our previous post and I said, hey, ride's canceled. We can't even get access to the river. The launch ramps are closed. The docks are closed. We got to reschedule. Well, 2 people who are in continual communication with me, I emailed them and said, hey, listen, it's not happening. Then I get a heartbreaking email the next morning. It was Thursday morning, and it's from a wonderful guy that I named Magic. His nickname's Magic. So Magic writes me and he goes, hey, I'm at the launch ramp and it's closed. What should I do? And I'm like, oh no, he missed everything. So I tell him, I said, listen, the ride was canceled. I put it up everywhere the day before. I didn't know you were coming. I mean, you had emailed me once. I'm really, really sorry. I thought I told everyone. I was falling over myself apologizing. And I said, I'll tell you what, I'm driving down. Let's go get a cheeseburger. Let me go buy you lunch. And I felt so, and I said, hey, where'd you drive from? And he says, I came down from New Jersey. I'm like, oh no. This guy had spent hours driving. I mean, half a day driving. So I'm like, all right. So I bring the last extra large jersey, because he's like, I wear an extra large. I bring the last blue extra large jersey. It was actually one of mine, but I never opened it. And I drive all the way down, meet him at Whataburger. And he comes in and he's got this beautiful black and green 2021 GP SVHO. And he comes up and he's just the nicest guy. And we end up talking. I think we hung out for almost an hour. And he got some stickers and a shirt. And I felt really bad because, he got a hotel room. He drove all the way down. I'm like, oh my gosh. So here's why I'm asking. Or I'm bringing this up. A couple things. First and foremost, I want to keep doing these rides. This particular route, hopefully, and unfortunately, one of the guys who wanted to go this last Friday, I said, hey, listen, I want to do it exactly a month from now because the 25th of March is also on a Friday. He goes, bro, I can't. I'm going to be out of town. I said, okay, well, I'm sorry. It works out for more other people. And he goes, I understand. That's fine. I'll catch you the next one. I said, okay, great. So, yes, Rick, you do. I strongly recommend it. And thankfully, it's very easy to put on. Thankfully, it's very cheap. But he asked, do I need a water shutoff valve so I can be towed from from boat US if needed. Unless you're towing, if you're not going to tow over 5 to 10 miles an hour, and that's a slow go, I strongly suggest you get a shutoff valve so that you don't back pressure and just completely fill up the engine compartment of your ski, especially with Yamahas, because Yamaha has a siphon tube, just a little hose that runs from the pump inside of the engine compartment. There's just an open hose that lays on the bottom of the engine compartment, and it's supposed to siphon water out. Well, when you're towing it, especially at speed, you get back pressure and it starts pumping water into the engine compartment. So you need to have a cutoff valve. All right. So we're planning on doing the Tennessee 440 again. We're gonna do it again. It's gonna be Friday, March 25th. That is the current date for it. If something changes, I will let everyone know. But right now, March 25th on a Friday at 6 a.m. We're gonna have more daylight. It's gonna be better weather. I don't think I will have a different ski, so I'll probably be doing it on the RX-PX by that time anyway. But that is the plan. So we'd love to have 10 people instead of 7. So if you guys are interested, I will have more information, but that will be the plan going thus far. And to make to really belabor the point, I will be putting updates on all the social media. All right, all 3. So it will be. There's Magic right now. Magic, he says, "Thank you so much for the jersey, and it was great to meet you. It was my pleasure." All right. So again, I'll be putting updates on Instagram, Facebook, the magazine itself, if it's not too late, and the community page here on YouTube. Hopefully, that's covering all the bases. So that is the plan with that one. Okay, so March 25th. And all right. So, all right. Casey Wilson writes, any concerns with the new GTX Limited for 2022? I have 2 on order for May or June delivery. Should I add bilge pumps to both skis? These are my first PWC for my wife and I. A bilge pump is always a good insurance policy. An electric bilge will have to be custom wired. If you have a service department, you have a dealership with a service department that you like, that you trust, they should be more than willing to install an electric bilge onto your personal watercraft. They can hide the switch. They can make it very clandestine, that it's not some big obnoxious thing, in the future, or for future use. So if you want to do that, I strongly recommend it, especially because that's an expensive purchase, and you don't want to risk anything. Thankfully, the improvements that have been made in the last 2 years with the carbon seal have rendered really good results. That does not mean that you still don't treat it like a carbon seal. And by that, I mean, do not run it out of the water for over 45 seconds to a minute. You don't need to rev it really hard to get the water out of the water box. When you flush it, turn your engine, be very good about turning it on, turn it off, things like that. You don't leave it running on the hose for 5 minutes. Never shallow start it. Try not to beach it. All the stuff that I've been screaming at for ever. So treat it like a carbon seal, but feel a little more confident that it's a superior design. I have there were people saying that there was misalignment problems continuing. I haven't seen that on 2022 models. I haven't really seen that on 21 models. I saw that on some 2020s, but especially not the new stuff. Their alignment's been pretty dialed in. The only way that you have engine misalignment really now is if you have a bad motor mount, and that's typically from jumping the hell out of it. And I don't think you are that kind of guy who's getting massive hang time. So Casey, I think you're in good shape. I think you and your wife will really enjoy those. I'm not terribly concerned with them whatsoever. So yeah, I really think that, especially if you're not looking at building a hot rod, you're not looking at modifying it, you're not really a racer or a drag racer or a competitor of any form. Yeah, your first time PWC owners, you know what, man? Just, I hate to say it, but follow the manual and you'll love it. And the only other suggestions I might ever suggest, besides putting the bilge on, if you want to have that, and which is a smart decision, it's not unwise. Strongly recommend the Riva sponsons set at 4, 3 minimum, but the 4th depth, you'll be like, ooh, this feels really nice. It's like sporty tires, on your car. The oil catch can, and if you're really feeling froggy and you want to get hit 75, 76, after maybe racking up some hours and get really used to it, a Riva SCOM, that's a speed control override module. And you can watch videos that I've done, and these are very basic, like entry level, like super entry level performance modifications. Nothing crazy, nothing hardcore. To be honest, I know I'm talking to first-time owners. I know I'm talking to guys who are more casual riders. It's not the Green Hulk, Riva Racing, Ruthless Racing, RX, the JP guys. I'm not talking really to the hardcore guys. They don't really need to hear what I have to say. What I'm talking to are guys like you, Casey, who are like, hey, I'm really excited. What are some things I should look out for? So that's really it. Hope that helps. Okay. So let's get into something, and this is kind of ambiguous because there are people who are certified EMTs, and they're certified. I mean, these guys are heavily trained and take survival and first aid and accident prevention very, very seriously. And this is really not what I'm targeting. All right. I think I have to start with an experience, and we're going to build from there. Was back when I was racing offshore, doing Long Beach, Catalina, and doing the Oceanside offshore Triple Crown and Mark Hahn and all these long distance, rough water, really grueling endurance ride races. I had built an Ultra 250 into, maybe it made 270, maybe 280. Wasn't that hot, but it was pretty cool. I was pretty proud of it. But I had built a race ski, and I was racing, and I was pretty excited about it. And I said, okay, this is the year that I'm really gonna get in the top 10 on Catalina, or top 10 on Catalina, or top 5, excuse me. I was getting top 10, and I got first in my class on my last one, but I got 10th place overall and not my last one, but in 2009, and first in my class, and I got 10th place overall. But I wasn't the best by any means. Please don't think that I'm some badass racer. I am not. But it was very good, very good class. It was a very good learning experience. But in 2008, I went out on my race boat that I built, and I got about halfway through. And blew 2 cooling hoses off. And I didn't know that at first. At first, I was really cooking. I was chasing the top 3. I was probably like 6th or 7th, and really doing pretty good. and at least, comparatively. And all of a sudden, and I noticed that I was using a lot of fuel. I was like, "Wow, man, I'm really chewing through my fuel." And then all of a sudden, all the lights went off. Temperature was going crazy, and I was like, "Oh!" And temperature, the overheating alarm went off, and I immediately pulled the lanyard and pulled the seat off and looked inside, and it just a plume of steam came pouring out, and it was salt water and burnt salt, just baked on salt everywhere. And I'm like, and I had probably about 5 or 6 inches of water in the hull, and I'm like, holy crap, I'm sinking. And I was like, man, okay, what do I do? What do I do? And thankfully, I kept my head, because shoot, I was probably 15, 20 miles offshore. I mean, I'm out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And, relatively, you can barely see land on either end, if not at all. And I'm looking around and I'm like, okay, well, I should be siphoning water out of the hulls, and I don't think I'm sinking. So I plug my lanyard back in, and I hit the engine, and I just start giving it throttle. And I'm watching what's going on in the engine compartment. I'm trying to keep my seats from falling off, but I have the seats off the engine compartment. And by the way, that's the reason why you see like JP Racing, when he's got the seats off, he's got that inspection cover off the Sea-Doo. He's driving with his head down, making sure the hoses aren't blowing off or water isn't coming in. Okay. I see a bunch of people in the comments attacking him about that. And I go, well, listen, you've seen him do speed runs with seats on. I've seen him do speed runs on the seat. I watch his videos. I see him do speed runs with the seats on. But he also goes out there on the first 1 or 2 passes, and he's got the whole thing's off. And he's looking to make sure that all the hoses are attached and nothing goes crazy. That is smart. That's what boat builders do. So I'm going at probably about 5 miles an hour out in the ocean, and I'm watching, and I watch one of the cooling hoses just going like, just spraying all over the engine compartment. And I was like, oh, okay. And I killed it. And I looked, and it had split the end of the hose where the hose clamp was. Well, thankfully, I reached into my front compartment, pulled out my big gallon Ziploc bag, pulled out a pair of, I call them dikes, just cutters. And I snipped off the end of it, and I spat into it, shoved it into the intercooler, and I had I doubled hose clamps and put hose clamps on. I sat there with my screwdriver with wet hands as all the skis are blowing past me, and I'm cranking these things on, just twisting them on, and then I fire it up, and that's not leaking. I'm like, okay, great, and I start to go to make sure, and I see way behind that came around the intercooler into the engine block, that hose had split, and it had split like 3 inches. It was only like an inch. But I snipped that off, and I tried to shove it on there, and it kinked a little bit. But I put another hose clamp on, tightened that one down, fired it up, looked good. The heat alarm turned off very quickly, and I was like, okay, I think I'm all right. So I put my seats back on, made sure everything was locked on. The other thing was that I lost my right hand glove, because I had pulled my glove off because my hand kept slipping on the screwdriver, and the glove went off into the ocean somewhere. So I fire up the ski, and I go down to the turnboat at Avalon Bay at Catalina, turn back around and start heading back. Well, I learned very quickly was when the Kawasaki starts getting hot, what the ECU starts to do, is that when it starts seeing really high engine temperatures, it starts dumping gas. It starts pouring gas on the pistons to cool it off. Well, that wasn't doing the trick, and so finally it lit off the alarm. Well, in that process, before the alarm went off, I devoured a bunch of gas. So I started realizing very quickly, I'm like, I am out of gas. Like, I've got probably another 10 miles to go, and I am running out of gas. So I was feathering it. Now I'm at like half throttle because I'm feathering the damn thing just to get me home. And I had passed maybe one or two people. And well, no, I had passed quite a few people when I, to the island and back. And then once the fuel alarm went off way sooner than it should have, I had to back off. People start passing me. So finally, I see the breakwater. I see the breakwater to get me into Long Beach, where the Queen Mary is. And as soon as it flattens out inside the breakwater, I grab throttle and the engine goes, it just runs out of fuel pressure. So I back off and I'm having to feather it. I'm like, can I go 3/4? And I'm like, okay, can I go 80%? Can I go 85? And I'm sitting there like just vicing it just to keep enough fuel in it. And I crossed the finish line. And it was so funny because the flag boat waved me over and they go, dude, we sent a helicopter out looking for you. And I said, really? And they go, yeah. They said, because everyone coming in said, hey, the magazine guy broke down. The personal Watercraft Illustrated guy, he broke down. He's out in the middle of the ocean. And he said, everyone said you were dead in the water. I go, no, I fixed it. He goes, you fixed it? I go, yeah. And they're like, all right, well, we got to radio in the helicopter. So they radioed in and they're like, hey man, he's here. He's good. He came in on his own power. So a lot of people were like, dude, I got kind of a booby prize. I was like, hey, good for you. I was second to last for the race, but I was more proud of the fact that I came in on my own. So, we got a super chat. So let me do the super chat. All right. How do you stay warm riding in 40-degree air and 40-degree water temps? Would you rather buy a wetsuit or a dry suit? I want to be comfortable riding my PWC in 40 to 50 degree weather, air temps. All recommendations welcome. Jet water runner feller. Good question. The funny thing is I've been out in the teens. Water was in the 30s and the air was in the teens. Snow was on the ground. And I wear wetsuits. I have a dry suit. I have a Hobie dry suit. There are better dry suits out there. Believe it or not, the best dry suits I've seen are the snowmobile ones because they have boots. A lot of them have a glove combination that keeps your gloves warm. They even have a hood. So a lot of you guys who have snowmobiles, you might want to make recommendations to Jetwater feller because, I'll go out there in a dry suit and the dry suit actually does its job so damn well that I'm getting hot and sweaty. And I'm talking, it's 28 degrees and I'm like sweating coming down my face. So a lot of those dry suits really, really work. And I'm talking about dry suits for snowmobilers because they are effectively a dry suit for almost all conditions. So I'd love to hear some of our viewers from really colder climates who are snowmobile enthusiasts who might be able to make some suggestions. So why do I bring up that story? Two major things happened with that story that I felt were applicable for today. Number one was, unbelievably, I kept my cool because when I was racing, my anxiety level was sky high. I didn't need caffeine. I didn't need anything. I didn't sleep. I was already really, really spun up. And amazingly enough, I really think it was a blessing, was that I kept my head. And that's rule number one, is if something breaks, or if you find that you're lost, or if you find that something's going wrong with your ski, or you get injured. And I've seen so many different kinds of injuries. Number one, keep your head. Stop, count to 10, do some breathing exercises, whatever it takes. Keep your head. Try to figure out what's going on. I was very thankful that happened. Number two is start to investigate. So I took my seat off, turned the engine back on, tried to see what was going on. what do I have a hose leak here? Do I have something going on with the engine? Did the supercharger belt fling off? What happened? And so that was, part of just keeping your cool is let's just take a little bit of, an assessment of what's happening. Number 3, and I've talked about this before, is be prepared. Plan for the worst, and be grateful when you don't need your your supplies. All right. I had tools. I always had brought an extra gallon of fuel or 2 gallons of fuel. So, and that was your spare tire. And never use your spare tire unless you really need it. I've used my spare tire being extra fuel when I really could have gotten by, and it's hurt me. I'm like, I should have waited. And it bit me in the butt. But I had tools, I had hose clamps, I had everything I needed to keep those hoses on and to keep me running. I typically on big rides like that, I carry extra fuel. I also quite frankly, I bring some water and maybe 1 or 2 Cliff bars or 1 or 2 granola bars. The other thing that I recommend that a lot of people kind of cock an eyebrow at is I typically always have a dry bag, and that dry bag has a change of clothes and might have a windbreaker in it in case I get caught out there and I'm stuck and I'm waiting for a boat to find me. I'll wear like a bright colored windbreaker, especially out in the ocean. If you're out in the ocean, you need to be seen. You need to be cautioned. You need to be hunter orange. You need to be visible. Now, this isn't also a big checklist of all the safety stuff you should have. Bring flares and I'm not doing that. But if you are going to be out in open water, the other thing, especially where there's no like cell phone signal, is a GPS, a handheld Garmin GPS will save your life more times than you want to count. The other thing that I recommend, especially if you're going out in open sea conditions, is a spot. It's a personal locator, and the brand is called Spot. I think they're all orange with black grip on it, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of people have them Velcroed or zip tied to their vest. Yeah, a whistle. Yeah, a lot of vests have whistles on it, but if you have a whistle or if you can bring a whistle, do that. But the spot locator, I've seen guys who've needed it badly. For offshore racing, they require you to have a VHF radio, and they will give you the channels if you participate in an offshore event. But again, this isn't really supposed to be a prep for offshore or emergency prep of tools and things to bring. I've done that already. But it was a little bit of, I knew I was prepared. I knew I had equipment, and I knew I wasn't going to be left out to die. We have a super chat from Britt. He writes, Kevin, great info. What brand do you recommend for PWC sunglasses? These are the single best PWC floating sunglasses I have ever encountered. I've done multiple reviews on these at watercraftjournal.com. Go to watercraftjournal.com. You can click on reviews. You can click on riding gear or gear. You will see 3 reviews on these because I've done multiple reviews on these. These are singularly the best I have ever used. I keep them right there. Thank you for the super chat. So keep your head, assess the situation, be prepared, with the right tools and equipment. All right. The other thing that I can almost always recommend is contingency plans. Never go out without a contingency plan. If something breaks, where are you going to pull ashore? If you suck up something, which happens all the time, or if your engine breaks down, how can you get back to where you belong, or where can someone find you? Okay. If you're going through, the rivers, St. John's River in Florida, thankfully, you're going to have a cell phone signal, except for like in the center of Lake Okeechobee. And in fact, I think most people can get a cell phone signal in Okeechobee, but you'll be able to access any sort of help. Thankfully, also the state, Florida is really good about having patrols. So you'd be really hard pressed to be stuck out there. Yes, Casey, very good. In fact, that was going to be my next one. Was make sure that your contingency plan includes being able to, either get back or be found. The last one is kind of a no-duh, and that is typically don't go out alone. Like everyone's like buddy system, just like the community pool when you were a kid. We're going to do the buddy system. So go out with a friend. It's more fun to share it with a friend anyway. And if you are going out alone and no one's going to go with you, make sure that you have someone who knows you're going out. And that was Casey's suggestion, but that was also on my list here at the bottom. Was my wife always knows when I go out, when I'm doing testing, because we live on the lake. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be gone for 2 hours. I'm just doing a sponson test, or hey, I'm doing a GPS test, or I'm doing blah, 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 blah. She goes, all right, no problem. So I go out. She actually knows if I call, there's a problem. And I actually had gone out about a week ago, and I broke the link mount off of the RXPX because it was just way too rough, and I had way too much weight on my fuel rack for the link mount to hold. And I'd broken the tabs off of the actual lock, and I'd broken the drop-in cleat for the link mount. And so I looked back, and I heard it break, and I got off the throttle, and I looked back, and my two big heavy-duty rubber bungee cords were the only thing holding the fuel rack on. I'm like, oh no. And so I stopped everything, pulled the rack up, pulled it on the back of the ski, tried to tie it down, but I realized I couldn't because the mounts were all broken. So I called her and I said, well, I'm about 17 miles out from the launch ramp, and the water is about 2 to 3 foot, white cap, wind's blowing really hard. I have to basically cruise back at 10 miles an hour so I don't lose the rack. So I'll be home in an hour. And she's like, all right, well, let me know if you need help or need me to come in anywhere. And I said, no problem. But she knew I was going out, and I typically always do that. That's just you need to know where I am. All right. So tools, GPS, fuel, spot, food and water, clothes, ride with a buddy system, notifications. Okay. So we have a super chat. Super chat from Shane. Kevin, you heard of an impending gas leak recall on the 2021-22 FX GP VX models? No, I have not. The only recall I know about is the STX Kawasaki's. Not the hinge, but the latch was breaking, and they were very concerned or maybe it was the hinge, because a hood had flown up and nearly hurt someone, and they said, nope, we're fixing this. And so all STXs need to go in for repair. But I have not heard about a fuel leak. So I don't know. I don't know. That's news to me. I wonder where the gas leak might be. But okay. So that David Haverish. I love my Windrider glasses and Watercraft Journal jersey. Very cool. Thank you. It surfaced on a Facebook Yamaha forum yesterday. Okay, I'll have to check it out. I usually get alerts with all that kind of stuff. The nature of my job is everyone sends me all the bad news. I don't know why. I mean, I know why. But it's just funny to me that if it's bad news, I'm one of the first to get it. So, if it's going on in the industry, here we go. And that's when manufacturers get nervous because, like, oh, Kevin's going to talk about it. Kevin's going to do a news article on it, and it's going to freak out all these people. They're going to call the dealers, and the dealers are going to freak out, and they're going to call us, and it's just going to be this damn log jam, all because this stupid ginger with his big mouth is talking about some problem. So, here we are. Okay, well, that was really it. It was not a big prior preparation planning prevents piss poor performance. That's a lot of alliteration there, Nathan. Have you heard the 4-speaker Cowies system in person? No, I have not put my hands on a 2022 Kawasaki yet. Now, interestingly enough, I just got word of this, and then I got confirmation because Chris Stone asked about it. Was the first run of 22 model Kawasaki's are showing up in Australia right now, because it's kind of the equivalent of midsummer, late summer. So they want to get their customers their skis before the summer runs out. So I'm hoping to hear back, because the plan was supposed to be the end of this month, but it's the end of this month. So unfortunately, I just haven't put my hands on a new Cowie yet. The Cowies might be probably in corporate's hands for testing for me mid to late March. Now, if that interferes with our ride, then I'll postpone the ride because the Cowie thing is more important. But I don't know yet, so I'll figure it out when it happens. But sure enough, I'll be coming out to California and riding one of them. Ryan, thank you for the super chat, but there's no question. Okay. Well, Ryan, if you have a question, please don't hesitate to ask. I appreciate the super chat. Okay. So that is what I had prepared for tonight. So let's go back and look at some questions. If there's not any more super chats, I'll breeze through the questions, and then we might wrap this one up early at an hour. Do you have a video or live chat on proper towing techniques? I've had friends ask me, and I honestly don't know and can't find anything on Watercraft Journal. Not really, no. And I'll tell you what, doing a video of towing, woo! I am going to piss whoever brand I tow with. If I have a Sea-Doo towing a Cowie, Cowie's going to get mad. If I have a Yamaha towing a Sea-Doo, Sea-Doo's going to get mad. If I have anything towing a Yamaha, Yamaha's going to get mad. It's just the way it is. And I just feel like I'm going to be pissing all sorts of people off. But I do have some footage towing a Yamaha. Now, the difference is that the Yamaha does not have a valve in it. And so I'm towing it at 5 miles an hour. Because I had done work on, we had tuned the ski and a couple other things. And it was a 2020 SVHO GP1800R. And I just towed it back to my friend's house. But I could probably do a live if I still have the footage of it and kind of give some suggestions. But no, I haven't really gone into detail on it. I might have to, just because it happens and we don't want people getting swamped. All right. Got my kill switch and electrical harness replaced due to a recall on 21 VX Deluxe when I picked up my cruiser. Oh, wow. I didn't know there was a recall on that. Yes, Michael, very good point. Sea-Doo does sell an OEM bilge that connects to the baler tubes. Only negative is it always runs when the ignition is on. It's not on a switch. That sucks. That's unnecessary draw. Nancy writes, was just at a Sea-Doo dealer. They had a bunch of skis, but they were missing displays and electronic stuff. They are having problems in Georgia getting skis ready to go. Sea-Doo is not out of Georgia. That is Yamaha. They are I know it's not Juarez. It's another little city outside of Juarez. But the plant in Juarez, I just say Juarez, sends their semi-completed units over the border to basically a bullpen, and that's where the tractor trailers come and hitch up to the trailers, and then they go to their it's a distribution center, more or less, or a distribution hub, and they are being dispatched out of El Paso, Texas. So it's not okay. Al Bundy, yeah. What was it? How many touchdowns did Al Bundy score in a single football game? It was like 4 touchdowns or 5 touchdowns in a single game. That was his one thing, and now he sells shoes. But yet, shoe salesman, 2 cars, and what was that, a 2,800 square foot house? That's not too bad. I mean, that was a big house. Each of the kids had their own bedrooms. He had, downstairs bathroom in the garage, 2-car garage. I mean, dude, Bundy lived okay. All right. Let's see here. When did Yamaha stop putting bilge pumps in their skis? My 09 came with a 500 gallons per minute pump. My 22 does not. No, it has a siphon. All right. I believe it was in the last of the previous FXs. I believe 18 was the last year of the previous, and it did the 2011 through 2018, 2011 through 2018 FX Yamahas have an electric bilge. I believe they did, because then they went to the automatic siphon or the automatic bilge, and it was just pump driven. All right, Michael Shortino writes, how much extra difficulty is involved in buying a ski in a different state that is registered? I'm driving to Florida in April and was considering buying a ski while there and towing it home if I can find one. I'm from New York. That's a DMV question. Now, I will tell you, you could probably call your insurance if you already have an insurance policyholder. And a lot of times, like AAA and I think Progressive, they will have kind of a backdoor outlet to help you register something. It's just like buying a car, more or less, or buying any boat. So now, if you're talking brand new, yeah, you go down to Florida, buy it brand new, don't register it. and then drive and then tow it back up to New York and then register it. Can't imagine it'd be that much of a pain, especially if you got a really good insurance company who will work with you. All right. Raphael writes, I have a Kawasaki Ultra LX 2022 model. Is there any advantage to using premium gas? Not really. Not for performance. But the nice thing is that premium gas, especially at like a Chevron or a Shell, they have superior additives to the fuel. It's not so much the octane, but it is the additives that's in the premium fuel that will be a little bit easier, less detonation, a little bit of a cleaner burn. So if you choose to run 91, 93, you're more than welcome to. You're not going to. There's not a detriment by any means, but it'll have slightly better additives because 87 and even 89, well, 87 for certain doesn't have any additives. It's just raw processed fuel. All right. John Dean writes, my Sea-Doo dealer in Colorado says all Sea-Doos he ordered will be delivered on time and completed. I find out on Tuesday when my GTI SE 170 is coming, was told built and ready waiting on shipment. That's great. Happy to hear it. RCA writes, hey, Kevin, any word on the 2022 Yamaha stand-up Superjet? I can't believe supply chain issues are still affecting delivery. Why not? Why can't you believe that? Have you been to a grocery store? Dude, I literally took the family to Panda Express today, and half of the food they serve was empty. I'm like, clean, like, yeah, you have teriyaki chicken. No. Why? So we literally are out of supply. We're out of stock. Oh, really? Yeah. How about beef and broccoli? Same thing. Okay. I'm telling you. Supply chain. All right. As Ukraine burns and all the mainstream media who have lied to you since you were born is telling you, hey, we should get involved with Ukraine. While that's all going on, has anyone been paying attention to what China's doing to Taiwan? You should, because there ain't nothing coming out of Taiwan right now. And guess what Taiwan makes besides everything? All your computer chips. So yeah, we got supply chain problems. That's why being a manufacturing independent nation and being energy independent is a good thing. Sorry, I don't mean to get political, but what the hell, people? All right. Yeah. Hey, that's a good thing. Now that Russia's invaded Ukraine, at least we've cured COVID. Oh boy. But thank you, Casey. I appreciate that. That was pretty funny. My dealer recommended a galvanized trailer for my trophy. What is your thought? I want one that I can use for long term. Aluminum is always going to be the best one. If you can afford aluminum, get aluminum. Ugh. If you can afford an aluminum trailer, get an aluminum. Galvanized is the next best step. Then you just have powder-coated steel. Powder-coated steel. Powder-coated steel is just going to be rusty as all get out in about 2 years. But galvanized is pretty good. Galvanized trailers typically chalk over. They're just really hard to clean, and they never look as nice as when you bought them. Aluminum, just tows so nice. It's lightweight. Oh, guy, it's so nice. If you can afford aluminum, get aluminum. All right. Cliff, I wanted a Triton aluminum. Dealer wouldn't sell me just the trailer. Then you need to find another dealer or find someone else to buy you trailer, and you pull up with your own trailer and go, screw you, buddy. I'm getting the trailer I want. There's no way a dealer won't sell you something. Walk in there and just be like, bro, I want the trailer. I'm not going to sell it to you. Well, then I'm taking my business elsewhere and walk out the door. But shove it in their face. Don't be polite about it. All right? Salesmen are sharks, and they want that commission. Any sales guy wants that commission. Anyone worth their salt is going to work with the customer. Otherwise, they're going to have a pissed off customer who's like, screw you guys, I'm not going to work with you ever again. And no dealer wants to lose a customer. No dealer with half a brain in their head is going to go, yeah, screw you, dude, get out of here. I want to defend, I really do want to defend dealers. I don't want to be like, dealers are the worst. Those guys are clueless. Rah, 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 rah. I'm not that guy. I don't want to be that guy. I know I've kind of razzed dealers, but seriously, no dealer worth their salt would not sell you what the product you want. All right. Casey asks, who makes the best ski in your personal opinion for 2022? I don't know. Polaris. I haven't tested everything. We're 11 months away from doing Watercraft of the year. Okay. Let me explain something to you. People ask me, like, well, what would you buy? I'm like, I would never buy the first year of anything. Kevin Shaw would never spend his money on the first year of anything. I don't care if it's the first year of a phone, the first year of a truck, first year of a jet ski, first year of, I don't care. All right. Any technology, I would not buy the first year of anything. Number one. Every guy who's like, I went and bought the first, I waited in line for 5 months to get the first one, and after a month it broke. I don't know what happened. I'm like, I don't know. It's the first year. Maybe you're the guinea pig. Maybe the audience, maybe the general public are the test audience. Ever thought of that? Think about that next time you get your Fauci ouchie, and you wonder why your legs start developing neuropathy. Why does my 11-year-old son suddenly have myocarditis? I don't understand. Sorry. Never buy the first year of anything. I'm going to get nasty letters from the OEs when they hear this. But, oh well. Then, number two, you want to see what breaks. We just heard about a fuel leak recall. All right? I'll tell you what. A year and a half ago, Jerry Gaddis from greenhulk.net, Greg Gaddis from youtube.com/greenhulkgarage, and Kevin Shaw from the Watercraft Journal all stood there looking at the blue and white and the black and green GP 1800R SVHO 2021 model. And we were like, Watercraft of the year, done, sold, 100%, not a question. And then what happened? Half a year of delays, recalls, parts were showing up with the wrong stuff on it. I mean, wrong supercharger wheels, wrong transom plates, the radio delete plate was flinging off and hitting people in the face. I mean, holy crap! How many things did they have to fix on it? It was, and then they had paint that was had runs in it. Decals were misapplied. I mean, one thing after another, and I just had this. It was a fire hose of problems happening with it. And it was crazy because some people had 0 issues. They had 0 issues. And then other people were like, this thing's a Yugo. What the hell happened? That's a throwback for people who remember what a Yugo was. But I'm telling you, and we said, and I was talking back and forth with Jerry, and I was talking with, and Jerry's talking to dealers, and I'm talking to dealers, and we're like, what is going on? And they're like, we don't know. These things are coming out all screwed up, and the problems with that ski, and then the delays with that ski, immediately kicked that machine right out of the contention. It went from literally first place on every performance level. I mean, every performance level. We were like, boom, the GP is a killer. It is a stone cold killer. To, oh, dude, this can't even be in the top 3. It was 4th place. It was 4th place because it took such a hit in the quality control category and build quality. What we call execution, the IDEA score, IDEA for execution. That's the E. That's quality control, and it got murdered. It got like a 3. It got 9s on everything, and then it got like a 2 or 3 on execution. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I mean, I'm talking to Greg. Greg is like, dude, I own one. I bought one with my own money, and it's a lemon. And I was like, okay. So when people ask me, like, well, what do you think it's going to be? I'm like, I don't know. I think the trophy is one of the most impressive things to come out. You think I'm crazy? I think the Sea-Doo trophy is one of the most impressive things because of the technology that's in that machine. I think the trophy is trophy's in my top 3. Trophy's in my top 3 right now. If you were to ask me my top 3, FX SVHO, fiberglass hull, new ride plate, sponson relocation, better weight, different, it's the original, it's the OG Riva ride plate. When I rode the FX SVHO, dude, I was sold. But what are my top 3? Ultra 310 X. But I know the LX with all the bells and whistles and the extended platform on the back and the rack and all, backup camera and 4 speakers. Okay. I'll give you points for that, but it's a little kitschy. But I preferred the turquoise and black one without the rack. If I was to buy one, it'd be that one. But then I kind of want like the phone charger and the waterproof case and some of the other things on it. But Ultra 310, any of those iterations until I see it. I mean, if I get on that ski and it's a rickety, clunky, goofy, cheaply made, I'm like, whoa, what is this? It's gonna get hit. It's gonna break my heart because I have really high hopes for it, and I don't know if it's airtight, perfect, awesome cherry pie, or if it's a freaking basket case. I haven't put my hands on it, so I can't make a judgment on it. But I have been on an FX SVHO, not production, but a pre-production unit, and I haven't been on the trophy. And I think the trophy, I think the FX SVHO, and I really do think that the Ultra 310 are my top 3. But I have not been on a production version of any of those skis. So how am I to make an assessment? How am I to judge? I can't judge. So that's really not the Forrest Gump. That's all I got to say about that. But yeah, I just think there's a lot of meat on that bone. I think there's a lot of meat on it. And yeah, it's just way too early. I typically by July or August, I have a really good idea of what the top 5 minimum are, if not top 3. Chris Stone, you posted last week how far you can get with all that fuel. How far did you go? I didn't. I had the rack rip off the back of it, Chris. Did you not listen? I didn't get very far. I got 17 miles, and then I broke the rack. Not the rack. I broke the link mounting bracket for it. All right. Yeah. Again, I have not heard about the fuel recall. I do not know what is being fixed. Jonathan Suggs. Jonathan, there is no 310R for 2022. And it's likely not going to show up now till 24. I don't think we're going to see the R for another 2 years. I think everything's getting bumped back. I think Uncle Joe and all the socialists have effectively done a bang-up job of pushing all the really good shit back. And I know there's a bunch of people out there like, how dare you? How dare you? You bring politics into this. I'm so mad. Oh. All right. Well, I get it. Well, unfortunately, politics is downstream from culture. And politics has a direct effect on the economy. And the economy has a direct effect on manufacturing. Manufacturing has a direct effect on whether you get the shit you want. Would you like to know why bacon is $18 a pound? Good bacon, not the cheap Publix brand stuff. Like the good thick cut stuff. Applewood smoked bacon. The kind of bacon fatties like me like. It's all downstream, dude. You know, what is it? Shit floats downstream. Shlang lang. That's how it works. So, unfortunately, that's kind of how it flies. So, are you kidding me? Nava down south can't argue with inflation. Both sides admit it. The hell they do. The hell they do. New York Times did a whole thing on why inflation is good for the economy. All right. Jen Psaki is up there going, no, inflation's great. Inflation is a sign that everyone's working. They are pissing on your leg and telling you it's raining. Don't tell me, oh, both sides admit it. Everyone's on the same side. At BS. 100% BS. I'm sorry. Transitory. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. Oh, Mark, very good question. I'm going to end with this one. Keep reading Reddit. Sorry, Nancy, that was really funny. We're all transitory. Guess what? People are. I had to explain to my kids. I said, "You have to." We had one of our daughters did something. I don't want to admit to what she did because it makes me feel like I'm a totally idiotic father. But my wife and I were like, we taught her this. She knows better. Bacon inflation is the same reason I'm buying 2 skis for $50,000. No real reason. Ha ha ha. Thank you for the super chat. My daughter, my 8-year-old, decided to stick a hairpin or a hair clip in a wall socket. And thank God it didn't. It zapped her and she let go, but it sizzled her fingertips. She didn't hang on to it or anything like that. Thankfully, my wife was in the very next room and made sure everything was okay and there was no fire. And I pulled the inspection cover off and flipped the breaker and made sure that everything was fine. But, I'm thinking it's like, man, we really did teach her that this is a bad thing. We really, really did teach her this. And it was just this moment of an 8-year-old just being curious and going, I wonder what happens. And the difficult thing and why I'm bringing this up was I had to explain to my kids. I said, you do not have a turtle shell. You do not have thick fur. You do not have claws. You do not have fangs. All right. You don't have spikes. You don't have a rattle. You're not poisonous. You don't spit poison. Human beings are soft, squishy animals. And the only thing that has kept us alive is the gray matter between our ears. So we have to engage our brains. You need to engage your brain and think about things before we do it. Okay. Will my decision bear negative consequences? That is the question. Will my will my decision-making paradigm have a negative effect on my life? So I'm making that point to be like, we're transitory. Humans are very vulnerable creatures. But Mark asked a very good question. I'm going to end with this one. He says, Kevin, I saw your article on the new cigarette Watercraft. Was curious your thoughts on the new Watercraft and pricing. Okay, so as you very well may know, with the Watercraft Journal, we try to be on top of all of the different designs and proposed plans and all the different watercraft that spring up. The big one on the table was the Balassi. All right, 333 horsepower. It's effectively an iteration of the 300 Ace, but with a turbo. Georgi Kaza from Hungary was instrumental in designing the hull. He was instrumental in a lot of the different power packages of the machine. It is carbon fiber. It has some very intelligent design, has some very intelligent equipment on it. I have not put my hands on one. They are not available in the United States. I have not been able to ride it. I've talked to two people in Australia who have ridden it, and they both told me half the stuff doesn't work on it. But it is over $30,000. A transitory super chat. I love it. Thank you, sir. That was great. But with that being said, the Balassi is still a very impressive ski. It's over $30,000. I mean, it's a hell of a machine. And the only reason, the reasons why anything is not available in the U.S. is because of Coast Guard regulations. Coast Guard regulations, the two biggest, there's a handful. I mean, there's a dozen regulations, but the two biggest ones that get in everyone's way. Number one, does it have enough impact foam? Does it have enough foam to withstand, packed in foam to withstand impact and allow the vessel to float? And I believe the minimum is 45 minutes to an hour. And it's got to be able to float that long because that's the bare minimum that someone can hang on to it and get rescued. So number one is the impact foam flotation. Number two is does it exceed 68 miles or 67 and a half or 68 miles an hour? And everyone's going to go, dude, my Sea-Doo goes 71. Yeah. Well, what is your Sea-Doo? Your Sea-Doo is a 3-seater, right? Your RXTX, your GTX Limited. It's a 3-seater. And how much fuel does it hold? 18 and a half gallons. And how much cargo does it hold? It holds 27 gallons worth of storage. Well, guess how they rate these machines? They put all that weight on the ski, and then they go and do a speed run. Oh, yeah, it only goes 67 miles an hour. Passes Coast Guard. All right? It's total curb weight. Total curb weight. That's how they quantify this top speed. Okay, great. Well, the Balassi has yet to do that. Or has tried to do that, and there's still not enough foam, or it still goes too fast. Okay. Then you have the Orca, the Taiga Orca, and it's a Spark-sized electric personal watercraft. Does about 55 miles an hour, but I don't know how long that lasts on that charge. Do they have the production numbers? No. Does it have enough foam? I don't know. It's not too fast, so it doesn't qualify for the last thing. But there are some other regulations that are kind of holding it up. Now, we've seen a million of these goofy, artistic rendering, like the V8 There was one that had like an LS3 Chevrolet V8 in it. It looked like a sperm whale. It was ridiculous looking. And we've seen a bunch of different, electric PWC and a bunch of, big power PWC prototypes. Cigarette is the Ruiz family is 100% dedicated to making a personal watercraft. They want to make the most luxurious, the most, high-end lifestyle PWC there is. They have two options. They're claiming an electric engine that gets them around 67 miles an hour. And then they're claiming an ICE engine, an internal combustion engine, a gas-powered engine, that does 75. Well, the 75 thing is going to piss off the Coast Guard, number one. Number two, we know nothing about the battery life. We know nothing about the electric engine platform as of yet. They are claiming full carbon fiber construction, top and bottom. They are claiming to have 2 interactive LCD touchscreen panels. One, obviously, for the dash, and then a smaller one inside of the handlebars and inside the pad of the handlebars. And I don't know how that one's really going to work out. I think that's a little too distracting. But again, everything we saw thus far is a digital rendering. The other things that I thought were peculiar was the design has a lot of sharp edges. It has a lot of sharp edges. And that's not going to work on a jet ski. The minute you have that kind of those sharp edges, people get hurt. And it might just be climbing on the damn thing. It might not even falling off of it. Someone rolls an ankle and they ram into it and they're like, this thing sucks. There's that. They have no idea on storage. They have no idea on fuel tank. There is a lot of things that have yet to be discussed. Now, I reached out the minute that Cigarette set up their display at the Miami Boat Show. I reached out to their media consultant, a lovely woman named Diana Diaz. And Diana immediately got back to me and was providing me the high-res images, provided me all the information on it, basically all the information that they were giving to people putting deposits down. And yes, they have generated over $2 million in deposits. I am not joking. Cigarette has collected over $2 million in deposits on a jet ski that will not be out for a year, if not longer. So, more details are certainly to come. I am scheduled to have an interview with the Ruiz brothers. John Ruiz is the owner. I believe Alex is the brother. The owner is John, and I believe Alex is over this project, is over the personal watercraft project at Cigarette. And Diana was scheduling. We were trying desperately to schedule an interview, a 3-way conference call, so that I could ask them a million questions and pick their brains and see what they had in mind. Obviously, they're looking at. They were looking at. Was it $39,700? I don't know what that entails, but the gas engine might be cheaper. The electric engine might be more expensive. I just don't know. There's just too many things that are just not ironed out yet. So we will be, we'll be looking at that. We'll be looking at, getting more information. I will be going down to Florida soon. So if I find myself at Cigarette, that would be very cool. But for the time being, everything that I know, I published. Everything that I know on this ski, I published. So I know, and that sounds really ambiguous, but it's just kind of where we are. Hey, guys, just real quick, can we get the likes up to 100? We're only like 24 away. So if we can get those likes up to 100, I'd really appreciate it. So if you haven't hit the like button already, please do. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Jonathan writes, did you try the new sponsons you were showing the other day? I have not tried them yet because I was preparing for our ride on last Friday that didn't happen. So I was doing fuel rack and modifications and getting all that packed up. I wasn't going to change the sponsons prior to the ride. I'm probably not going to be able to test them this week either, just because I'm going to Indianapolis for a big trade show for the Mopar magazine, and I have to take the cylinder heads off of my Charger. So I can. I'm sending the cylinder heads up to Hughes Engines, and they're going to be gone through on their stage 2. I have a set of Edelbrock Performer RPM heads. 100, cool. Thank you guys, appreciate it. Yeah, I have a set of aluminum Edelbrock Performers, but they're box stock. I got a better set of Beehive springs on them, but it's still the valve. I mean, I still have those stock valves. And around 5,800 RPM, the Charger kind of lays over, and that cam is rated for, I should be shifting at 6,400. So yeah, I'm gonna have those heads off the Charger, and that's something for the magazine. I have a ton of stuff I have to photograph this week and film for future videos for both Watercraft and for Mopar. So I'm kind of I got my back up against the wall on some stuff. I've kind of overcommitted myself. All right, well, we're over an hour and a half. Guys, I'm pretty much done. I've already covered everything that I wanted to cover, and we've gone over quite a few pictures. Yeah, build a V8 jet ski with a Mopar motor. No, because Mopar motors are way too damn heavy. An LS motor is a great choice. Lightweight, all aluminum. You could do an external pickup. You can do a 2-stage dry sump on it. Great engine. Okay, guys, I think we're done for tonight. So thanks again. If you haven't already, scroll to the top of the chats. If you're watching this, live, go to the top. We have the last of our Bimini blue jerseys that we need to clear off. And if you haven't gotten one, please do, or get one for a friend or family. And then we also have the ride. The Nashville ride is happening March 25th. That's a Friday. It's the last Friday of the month. Then, what else? We had t-shirts. Oh yeah, the jerseys are also 10% off. We did cut the price down so we could clear them out. And then we have t-shirts. You can don't be an asshole. Or we have the Engage Your Brain shirt. We also have the just regular logo shirt. If you want to represent the Watercraft Journal, please do. And we'll talk to you soon, guys. Have a great week. Enjoy the magazine. Check out the videos. And ask your friends to subscribe to get us to 20,000 so that everyone can score big, because I'm hoping to have over $700 worth of prizes. That's the hope. I want to have a whole bunch of money, or a whole bunch of, not money, but a whole bunch of prizes to give out. All right, guys. Thanks again. We'll talk soon.